Pat Forde covers college football for Yahoo Sports, and he was busy. He's been busy. So he had to go. He lives in Louisville, so he had to go all the way to Cincinnati for UCLA Cincinnati, and then he had to go all the way to Louisville to watch last night's game with Notre Dame and Louisville. You've got to be exhausted, Pat. Thank you for joining us.
Grind never stops, Dan.
I know. I know.
Got to keep going.
All right. So what do we start negative or positive today?
Oh, let's start negative. That's more fun.
Okay.
And I guess I would start there, at least from last night. I was very underwhelmed by Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame was underwhelmed by Notre Dame. Talking to them afterwards, Ian Book knew that he played poorly. Brian Kelly said that basically our veterans got to take it up another level. I think they were complacent. I think they came in thinking, we're a playoff team. They're Louisville. We are in control here, and then started that way, and then, hey, Louisville showed a little bit of spunk, and Notre Dame didn't respond all that well. And, yeah, they won, and they won by 18 points, but I think everybody there knows in 3 weeks they got to play Georgia, and if they play like that against Georgia, they'll lose by 18.
What else stood out? Because there were a couple of embarrassing losses. Any loss worse than Tennessee's?
No. Tennessee. The only thing more embarrassing than what Tennessee did was what Hugh Freeze did, but that's a whole other matter, really. No, Tennessee that was incredible for them to lose. I mean, Georgia State 2-10 last year, picked to finish last in their division of the Sun Belt, which means basically you're in the running to be the worst FBS team in America. And they go in and not just beat them, but they handled them, especially in the second half. They pushed them around. They had 24 points, 240 yards after halftime. Tennessee looked like they quit defensively, I thought, and that's a really bad sign at home in your season opener against a bad team.
Yeah, you have a couple of those losses. Missouri losing to Wyoming, Florida State losing at home. Mountain West did well.
Mountain West did great. I mean, best opening weekend they've had in so long, maybe ever. The 4 Power 5 victories, and several of them in double-digit comeback fashion. So, good to have Boise back on the radar with a true freshman quarterback, and Nevada wins on a kick by a true freshman on a 56-yard field goal, who was a walk-on. He got a scholarship after the game. It was a nice weekend for the Mountain West, that's for sure.
I'm curious about Oklahoma. If we look at Lincoln Riley, and are we not giving him enough credit for this offensive system that he has there? You bring in Hurts, who I don't know if people looked at as a pro quarterback, but he put up incredible numbers. I know it's week one, but you had Kyler Murray who comes in, you had Baker Mayfield who comes in, and now Jalen Hurts transfers in. Is it the system here?
The system's a lot of it, for sure. I mean, I think you got to look at Lincoln Riley and say nobody's doing better work with quarterbacks in the country right now than what he's done. And Jalen Hurts had done a lot. I mean, he had 7,500 yards total offense in Alabama, over 70 touchdowns. So he was a player, but you're right. I don't think anybody considered him that kind of a quarterback from a passing standpoint. I mean, he ran well too, but for him to throw like that, first game with a new surrounding cast, I was dazzled. Maybe Houston's terrible, but I got to give him credit that, I think Lincoln Riley could probably put a pop-up toaster at quarterback and get 400 yards of offense out of him.
JT Daniels out for the season with the torn ACL, and his backup transferred. Is his backup coming back to USC?
It's interesting. Clay Helton said the door's always open to him, and when he said that he was going to transfer, he said, if the team needs me, I'm available. So, it's kind of one of those half breakups. But everything they said so far this week is that they're going with Keaton Slovis, the true freshman who was, not a super high-level recruit. They're playing Stanford this week. Here's the problem for USC, Dan, is just that the early schedule is really hard. Yeah. You lose your starting quarterback week one, and you're in behind the eight ball because you're not playing a bunch of cupcakes early. So this is crunch time right now for Clay Helton in terms of keeping his job.
Biggest matchups this next weekend. which one would A&M, Clemson? I don't know. Michigan Army, is that interesting?
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, I would say the biggest one's LSU, Texas. That's a great intersectional game. The kind of games on campus that we should see more of, and we're going to see eventually. SEC versus Big 12, two schools that are trying to break through and reach the playoff, and the winner of that game is going to feel like they're going to have a chance to do that. I'm fascinated. LSU really actually did look like they've gotten an offense together. Now they were playing Georgia Southern. We'll see what happens against a good defense. But if they can finally throw the ball with some verve, they could be a real challenge to Alabama. But A&M, Clemson also a big game, and I would say watch out for Army and what they're going to bring to Michigan. The problematic style of play to get ready for. Good team, and if they just inhale the ball for 35, 40 minutes of the game, it's going to be a close game.
If you had to cast a Heisman vote today, how about prediction? Guaranteed to have us play it back at the end of the year and make fun of you.
For the Heisman, Travis Etienne at Clemson. It ran like crazy Thursday night in their first game, and Trevor Lawrence is going to be great and going to put up good numbers all year. But I think they can be run first and just have Travis Etienne be the centerpiece of the offense. And then they've got 4 or 5 different guys to throw to. They're just they're gonna rack up points. They're gonna rack up yards, and they're gonna win constantly. The next couple of weeks really are going to be their only challenges in terms of opponents, and after that, I think they're just going to cruise through the season. So I would say whoever turns out to be Clemson's most productive offensive player is your Heisman favorite.
Yeah, I just wonder if they're going to be passing in the second half, just like with Tua with Alabama, that
right.
These guys can't build up the numbers that other players can because their teams are so good. And it feels like Clemson's going to be running the football, Alabama will be running the football. I don't know how much you put Lawrence out there in the second half or the fourth quarter, and the same with Tua. So,
sure,
and it's not these, Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney's job to get these kids a Heisman. It's their job to win national championships and keep them healthy. So I don't think Nick Saban's going to go. Let's put Tua back out there so he can put up some big numbers there.
No, I don't think they will. And that was like last year when he didn't throw a fourth quarter pass for most of the season.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the latter stages when he actually was playing in the fourth quarter. And that'll probably be the same thing for Trevor Lawrence. And that's he had a tackle after he threw an interception, and Dabo's guarantee was like, let's not do that. He's going to keep him as much out of harm's way as possible, I think, this year. So, I would imagine the best players for Clemson and Alabama are going to be 3/4 or even a half a game.
Pat, thanks for joining us. Safe travels this next weekend. We appreciate your time as always.
My pleasure, Dan. Thank you. Happy football to you.
That's Pat Forde, Yahoo Sports national columnist, covers college basketball, college football.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.